morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to be talking about a really, really good new Pokemon tool. One that excites me very, very much indeed. It's been popped onto the official Japanese website, it's been translated by the lovely Antoine Boulet, and apparently it's called Cursed Shovel. And there are certain viewers of my videos, people I follow on Twitter, etc., who are going to look at a tool like that and be extremely happy about it. You see, it is a Pokemon tool, and it reads, when the Pokemon this card is attached to gets KO'd by damage from an opponent's attack, discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's milling. It's extra milling. And this is going to see play. This is absolutely going to see play. In a world where Trick Shovel saw a bunch of play in these kind of decks, and that just discarded the top card of your opponent's deck, being able to discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck is brilliant. The other thing I really love about this is that it is going to throw your opponent's maths off. Because they're going to have to discard the top 2 cards of their deck when they KO you. And then they're going to have to be thinking, well, how many can my opponent discard on their turn? I saw games at the Oceania International Championships on stream, high-level, top-table games, decided because one player was 1 or 2 cards milling away from winning the game. This would have won them the game. This could legitimately lead to players going, ha ha ha, joke's on you. I'm not going to knock out your Pokemon because I don't want to be milled. Brilliant! Sounds like fun. Now, there are certain decks where this is going to work and certain decks where it isn't. This is unlikely to just randomly be put into a bunch of decks as a one-off. Maybe. I mean, I love this as a kind of, I got a 1 card space left in my deck, let's do it. But no, I really don't think that is terribly reliable. What this is it's for milling decks. Now imagine this, there's an Oranguru. Oranguru loves this kind of stuff. And of course at the moment, let's not bury the lead, we've got Bellelbra and Brycen-man, which means both players have to discard the top 3 cards of their deck. Bearing in mind, you don't mind a discard, your opponent does mind a discard, you can reuse Bellelbra and Brycen-man, and not for nothing you're putting cards back into your deck, meaning you ain't decking out. Cool. Well, now your opponent wants to take out the Oranguru, because if they take out the Oranguru, then they can stop you recovering Bellelbra and Brycen-man. Except taking out the Oranguru now means they've got to discard the top 2 cards of their deck. But not taking it out means that Oranguru is going to recover Bellelbra and Brycen-man, which gets rid of the top 3 cards of their deck. Yeah, this is going to be fun. And of course, the reason I mention Oranguru so much, they're just going to keep recovering it. Now, hopefully you're not taking that many prizes, because if they take 6, you lose. But it means you can legitimately play 1 or 2 of these in your deck, and then when you find one, you can just keep reusing it over and over again. It's extra milling. And it's not going to be your main strategy. Your main strategy is still going to be using stuff like Bellelbra and Brycen-man and getting rid of energy and gusting things into the active to mean your opponent can't attack. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be an important part. And there are a couple of cards that really help. Now, at this stage, I think we should all be a little sad that Eco Arm rotated, and not even recently, it rotated ages ago. But it let you shuffle 3 Pokemon tools from your discard pile into your deck. It even had the lovely art where it was picking up a Hard Charm. We don't want Hard Charm. We want Cursed Shovel. We don't have that. But like I say, we got stuff like Oranguru, but we still do have Adventure Bag, which will help you to search it out. So if it is a big part of your strategy, you could play like 4 of these and a couple Adventure Bag, and that's going to make it more likely. Now, Oranguru is a fun example, but we do need to remember Shedinja. Shedinja is a Pokemon, but you attach it as a Pokemon tool, and then it means you don't give up a prize when KO'd. Clearly, a lot of the time, Shedinja is still going to be the better option in a lot of these decks, but the more aggressively you're trying to actually mill cards, the more likely it is that this is going to work beautifully. Whack this on one of your support Pokemon. So okay, your opponent can go and get rid of one of those Chinchino, but they're going to have to pay for it with a couple of cards off the top of their deck. You've got Shedinja on your active or Unguru, but you've then got a Curse Shovel on Chinchino, and that's going to hurt your opponent when they go and try and take a KO. And the thing is that with Balaura and Brycen-man in the format at the moment, mill decks are going to be far more of a thing than they have been for, frankly, a very long time. And let's not forget Center Scorch is coming. You see, Center Scorch is one of the best, well, no, that's probably a lie, one of my favourite cards that we've seen in the Sword and Shield set so far. You get to pile fire energy on, and for each energy on Center Scorch, you get to discard the top card of your opponent's deck. In a Center Scorch deck, this is phenomenal. And this should be on every one of your Center Scorch. Because now it's like having an extra 2 fire energy on there. This is the kind of deck where you are going to be really aggressively milling. And when you are really aggressively milling, yes. Now this becomes a phenomenal card because you're not thinking, hey, I'm going to use Shedinja. And you're not trying to be a little bit coy. You are just going flat out full bore discarding. And in that scenario, this is just going to be over the top, amazingly, brilliantly good. Yes, I probably sound effusive in my praise right now. This is a very specific kind of card, right? It is not going to work for everything. This is not an every card deck. It is not a new staple. What it is a fantastic trick, which is going to make all mill decks better. And for that, we absolutely adore it. Now, at this stage, we do need to mention that Tool Scrapper is back. You see, this is an amazing new tool. We love amazing new tools. They make us very happy. The problem is that for a very long time, we've been able to go, there's no good ways to get rid of tools. All we've got is Faber, but Faber's your only supporter for the turn, and nobody's really playing it. And even if they are, it's a one-off, so they might not be able to find it. Yay! That's not the format we're going to be in as we move forward into Sword and Shield 2. Sword and Shield 2 brings Tool Scrapper back. And with Tool Scrapper back, this is not as reliable as it once was. I see this very much in the same vein as I see Spell Tag. A phenomenal card when you can guarantee it's going to go off. Because we've been in a format, right, where Spell Tag goes off. Where Spell Tag works. Where we can basically rely on the fact that we are going to get some value out of Spell Tag. That our opponent is going to have to hit into it and then take those 4 damage counters. And they've not really had much of a choice. We would have been in the same place with Cursed Shovel, and we would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for that meddling Tool Scrapper. And it is a legitimate thing that we need to worry about. And worry is the correct word to use here. Because the problem is, if our opponent drops a Tool Scrapper and then takes a KO, this card does nothing. Like, actual nothing. Not like, oh, I didn't use that to its full effect. No. I mean in a very literal sense. It does actual nothing. How many Tool Scrappers is your opponent going to play? Probably 1 or 2. Are they going to find it at the perfect time? Possibly not. And that's what you're relying on here. But I honestly don't think Tool Scrapper is going to impact our decision making very much. If you're making a hardcore milling deck like Center Scorch or a full-on Balaura and Brycen-man deck, I really do think you're going to be playing this. Because it's too good not to. And you're just going to be crossing your fingers that your opponent doesn't drop a Tool Scrapper. And if you're not playing a milling deck, I think it's pretty safe to say you're not going to be playing this. Because it ain't going to be good enough in other decks. A random milling 2 is fun, but, I mean, look, if it was an item card that just milled 2, here's what you would do. Play 1, and if your opponent ever gets down to 2 cards in deck, play it to win the game as soon as you end your turn. That's what it would be good for. This is not that card, because if your opponent goes, I've got 2 cards left in my deck, hang on a second, they've got a Cursed Shovel, you just do not attack. And it buys you another turn to try and get round it. So there we go. This is a 4 Wassy card. I can't possibly give it 5 Wassies because it ain't going to fit into enough decks. It's going to be the kind of card that does not play in... It might be 80 or 90% of decks or more have no interest in playing this card. But the 5 to 10% of decks that do want to play it, this is going to be an absolute godsend. They're going to love it. So there we go. But this is a point in the video where I'd like to know what you think about this card and how good you think it is. So, let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WasiPlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darned awesome nonetheless. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.